I remember the moment I first noticed something had changed between us. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was quiet, the kind of shift you don't even recognize at first. It happened one night in late July, back when the air was thick with heat and the ceiling fan just pushed it around the room like slow honey. I had just come home from my first year of college. I thought it would be a regular summer. Sun, sleep, and silence. But I didn't expect what came with being under the same roof with David again. David married my mom when I was 13, a few years after my real dad disappeared out of our lives like smoke. David had always been kind, responsible, and maybe too polite for his own good. The kind of man who remembered anniversaries and refilled the gas tank before anyone noticed it was low. Over time, I'd gotten used to calling him dead, even though it felt strange in my mouth, not quite mine. But things changed the summer I turned 19. I changed, and so did the way he looked at me. It started so subtly, I told myself I was imagining it. The way his eyes lingered when I walked into a room, especially when I was wearing shorts or a tank top. I chalked it up to awkwardness. He was probably trying not to look. That's what I told myself. But then there were the silences, those long pauses when it was just the two of us in the kitchen or living room. They weren't empty. They were full, loaded with everything we weren't saying. One night, I went for a swim in the backyard. The moon was high, and the pool glowed with that eerie blue light from the underwater bulbs. I swam slowly, lazily, and when I climbed out, my skin was slick with water, and the humid air made it feel like I hadn't left the pool at all. That's when I saw him in the doorway with a towel in his hands. His eyes dropped down to my legs, my chest, then back to my eyes so fast I almost missed it. But I didn't. "You'll get cold," he said, holding out the towel. I walked over and took it from him. But instead of drying off right away, I stood there. The wet fabric of my swimsuit clung to me, and I could see something flicker in his expression before he masked it. I wanted to say something normal, but my mouth went dry. His hand brushed mine, and even that brief touch sent a jolt down my spine. We both stood still, the air between us charged. That night, I left my bedroom, door cracked open. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted him to notice. Maybe I just wanted something to happen, something to make sense of what I was feeling. He didn't come, and part of me was relieved. But another part was disappointed in a way I didn't want to admit. The next few days were filled with moments that felt like puzzles. We'd pass in the hallway, and his hand would brush my back. Too light to be anything, but not light enough to mean nothing. We sat too close on the couch, our knees occasionally touching. He'd laugh at something I said and let his fingers linger on my arm a second too long. It was always innocent, always deniable, and always left my heart racing like I was doing something wrong. One afternoon, my mom had to leave town for a weekend retreat with her company. David and I were alone in the house. That night, a storm rolled in. The wind held against the windows, and the thunder felt like it was shaking the ground. I had just settled on the couch with a blanket when the power went out. The silence after the TV cut off was so sharp it felt like a slap. I yelped, mostly from surprise, and almost immediately, David appeared with a flashlight. "You okay?" he asked. "I hate storms," I muttered. He offered a faint smile and went to light some candles. The house suddenly looked like something from another time. Shadows danced on the walls, and the flickering light made everything feel unreal. We sat on the floor with the flashlight between us, both of us wrapped in blankets, the storm raging outside like it was trying to drown out everything inside us. "I used to be terrified of storms," I said. "When I was little, I'd crawl into bed with my mom." He looked at me. Did that help? Sometimes, but she was always cold in her sleep. He chuckled softly. "I don't think she's ever been good at warmth." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was something else, expectant maybe, thick with things we didn't have the words for. I looked over at him, the light dancing across his face. "David," I started, unsure what I even meant to say. He looked up. "Yeah. I think I've been confusing something," I said. "And I'm sorry if I've made anything weird." He didn't speak, just watched me carefully. "I don't see you as just my stepdad anymore," I whispered. "And I know I shouldn't say that. I know it's wrong. But I needed you to know." His jaw clenched, and for a second I thought he might yell or walk away. But he didn't. "You're not a little girl anymore, Emily," he said, his voice low. "I know. You don't understand how complicated this is." "I do." He stood suddenly and walked to the kitchen. I sat there, heart pounding, not knowing whether to cry or scream or follow him. I chose silence. That night my door stayed closed. His did too. A week passed. We didn't speak about it again. But something in the way he moved told me he hadn't forgotten. I started noticing how he looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching. How he left things unsaid. One afternoon, while cleaning up, I knocked a book off the shelf in his home office. When I picked it up, something fluttered out. It was a letter. My name was written on the front in his neat handwriting. I shouldn't have read it, but I did. The words inside were quiet, restrained, but they held so much pain. He wrote about how he saw me changing, how he felt something growing between us that scared him, how he knew it couldn't ever happen. But that didn't make it go away. I sat there holding the letter for a long time, my fingers trembling. That night, I stood in front of his bedroom door and knocked once. I don't know what I expected. When he opened it, he looked like he hadn't slept in days. He stared at me in silence. "I read the letter," I said. He rubbed his hand over his face. "Emily, I just wanted you to know you're not alone in this." He looked pained. "That's the problem. If I were alone in it, maybe it wouldn't be so hard." We didn't cross a line that night. I didn't step into his room. He didn't reach for me. But something unspoken passed between us, a current that wrapped around my chest and never let go. 2 years later, that summer still haunts me. I've moved out, live in a small apartment with a cat and a life that looks normal from the outside. But every time I visit home and see David, I feel that old electricity beneath the surface. He hugs me carefully, speaks to me like nothing ever happened, but his eyes always hold something they never used to. We never did anything. We never even kissed. But some loves are louder in the things that don't happen. I still think about the pool, the storm, the letter, and the door that stayed closed. Some nights, I wonder what would have happened if I'd taken one more step. And I think maybe he wonders too.